The third and last clade that we're going to deal with is the Ferae, F-E-R-A-E. There we go, clade Ferae. And if you remember from your consensus tree, let's see if I can focus in on it here. It's not going so well. The Ferae include the carnivora, and then they're all part of this much larger clade, the Laurasiatheria, which includes the true insectivores, the hedgehogs and the shrews and the moles, but also the Ferae are combined in the Scrotifera, in the clade Scrotifera, with the bats, the Chiroptera, and then all of the ungulates, the Perissodactyla and the Cetartiodactyla, which are the artiodactyls, and the cetaceans, which are of course closely related. So we have this clade Ferae, and this is they're in chapter we're dealing with chapter 18 in Feldhammer. Again, just as a reminder, these orders again are distributed across 3 different chapters in Feldhammer, in the 5th edition of Feldhammer, unlike the 4th edition. And here in the Ferae, we're dealing with the order Pholidota, which are the pangolins, and we're dealing with its family Manidae. And in this case, we've got one species here. We've got a skull, and we have a skin for this one, which you've been introduced to already. There's just the one family with 8 species. 8 species in 3 genera and 2 subfamilies. So this is Manus pentadactyla. Okay, and this is another, since this is another one that you're expected to know because it is a skull and skin. Okay, these are true edentates. Like the giant anteaters, they have no teeth at all. And you can pretty much see that here for both the upper part of the skull and the lower part of the skull. The lower jaw looks like a little bird bill in some respects. It's very delicate looking. So this is the lower part of the skull, the dentary, mandible. Different words for the same thing, lower jaw. And the upper part, the skull itself, is kind of tubular-like. It's very, it's a very, I was going to say very unique, but that's bad English. It's a very unusual type of skull. It's this very robust tube that's designed for eating ants and termites. It has no teeth, so it's edentate. And again, notice that the zygomatic arch is incomplete. We'll zoom in on this, see if you can see it any better. It's a little overexposed here. Okay, that's better. So there you can see what it looks like. So, a very distinctive skull. Incomplete zygomatic arch. Like I said, you can see that here. It's not focusing properly for me here. Sorry about that. See what else does it say in your lab manual about these. No teeth, well, I already said that. The skull is conical, lacking crests and ridges. There's some other details in there about whether bones are separate or not, but those are not easy to see even when you have the skull in hand, and they're even harder to see on looking at them online here. But a few things are obvious. It is edentate, doesn't have any teeth, and the zygomatic arches are incomplete. Now remember the other species that had incomplete zygomatic arches? It's the Bradypodidae, the three-toed sloths, and also the giant anteater. They were also incomplete. And we do have a skin for this amazing creature. And here we go. That's the head region. Look at those powerful claws for digging. These are amazing animals. Many species. In 3 genera in 2 subfamilies. 8 species in 3 genera in two subfamilies. And they're found throughout the Old World, well, not exactly throughout the world, but tropical and subtropical parts of the Old World, from Africa across through India and South Asia and Indonesia, the Philippines, and places like that. So, pretty amazing animals. They are some of the most endangered animals on Earth today because there's such a demand for their skin here that it's seen as ground up and used in folk medicine the same way rhino horns are. And you might as well grind up your fingernails or your hair. It's just keratin. Now these keratin scales are very different from the ones that we saw in the armadillos. Remember the order that they were in? Cingulata. So, okay, so those are all the specimens that we have for ant-eating orders, but there are other species that I alluded to that are also anteaters. And there's a nice figure in your textbook about that. In chapter 5 is a good example of convergent evolution. Figure 5.6 in the 5th edition on page 87. It shows this convergent feature in a number of different animals, mammals, from echidnas, which are monotremes, of course, the aardvark, which we just saw, the giant anteater, which we just saw, the aardwolf, which is a carnivore. It's a type of hyena, surprisingly so, and then the pangolins here, which we're just looking at, and also lists the numbat. That's a desiuromorph marsupial. So anteating is a pretty common practice, and not surprisingly, since ants and termites have been around for an estimated 140 or more million years. So there's plenty of time for various groups of mammals to converge in terms of their evolution and their adaptations to eating this very readily available food source. Okay, I will try to find some other videos to go along with this, but this is all I have for the specimens that we have in lab.